Your power lies in emotional control, and that is something most people don't realize until they've been pushed to their limits. When someone plays games with your emotions, when they manipulate you, when they twist your kindness into a weakness, they aren't just trying to deceive you, they are trying to control you. They are testing how much they can push, how far they can go before you break. But here's the truth. No one has power over you unless you give it to them. The person who hurt you may have thought they won, that they got away with it. But their victory is only an illusion. Because the real battle isn't between you and them, it's between you and your emotions. You see, manipulation is a game of reactions. When someone plays with your feelings, they are looking for a response. They want to know they've affected you. They want to see you cry, to see you lash out, to see you question yourself, to see you doubt your worth. They feed off your emotional responses like fuel for their own ego. And as long as you keep reacting, you keep giving them exactly what they want. Think about it. Why do manipulators always seem so in control? Why do they appear so calm while you're the one left feeling anxious, frustrated, or hurt? Because they understand something most people don't. Control isn't about force. It's about influence. And the easiest way to influence someone is through their emotions. But the moment you take back control of your emotions, the game ends. It doesn't matter what tricks they try to play, what mind games they attempt, or what words they throw at you. When you refuse to react, you take away their power. Let's go deeper. Every time you react with anger, sadness, or desperation, you reinforce their belief that they have a hold over you. They begin to see you as predictable, as someone they can push and pull whenever they please. And the worst part? They start to believe they can come and go from your life as they wish, because your emotions will always be there waiting for them. But what happens when you stop playing their game? What happens when you don't cry, when you don't argue, when you don't give them the emotional reaction they expect? Confusion, panic, uncertainty. Because now they don't know where they stand with you. They start to realize they aren't as powerful as they thought. This is why emotional control is the ultimate power. Because when you master your emotions, you become untouchable. No one can break you, no one can shake you, and no one can manipulate you. Think about the people you admire, the ones who carry themselves with an air of unshakable confidence. What do they all have in common? They don't let emotions dictate their actions. They don't chase people who don't value them. They don't waste time proving their worth to those who refuse to see it. They don't let someone's disrespect pull them into an emotional storm. They move differently. They respond with silence when someone tries to provoke them. They walk away without a second thought when someone tries to play with their heart. They hold their head high when someone attempts to belittle them. And because of that, they hold all the power. Now you might be thinking, but it's hard to control emotions when someone has hurt you deeply. And yes, it is. It takes time, practice, and awareness. But the first step is understanding that every time you allow someone to dictate how you feel, you are giving them permission to control your life. Ask yourself, why should someone who disrespected you still have influence over your mood? Why should someone who lied to you still have the power to make you question yourself? Why should someone who played with your heart still have space in your mind? They don't deserve that power. They don't deserve that control. And the only way to take it back is by mastering your emotions. It starts with one decision: choosing to respond instead of react. The difference between reacting and responding is the difference between losing control and owning your power. When you react, you are acting on impulse, giving them exactly what they want. But when you respond, you take a step back, you assess the situation, and you decide what action serves you best. You don't answer the late night text from the person who only reaches out when it's convenient for them. You don't argue with someone who disrespects you, because their words hold no value in your life. You don't waste your energy proving yourself to someone who was blind to your worth from the beginning. Instead, you move in silence. You focus on yourself. You channel your energy into your growth, your success, and your peace. Because at the end of the day, nothing unsettles a manipulator more than losing control over someone they thought they had in the palm of their hand. They expect you to be hurt. They expect you to be angry. They expect you to chase them, to seek closure, to beg for an explanation. But when you give them none of that, when you stay calm, collected, and unbothered, that's when they start to feel the weight of their own actions. They start wondering why you're so silent. They start questioning if they ever really had you. They start feeling the emptiness of their own games. And the best part, you won't even care. Because by then, you'll be too focused on building a life so powerful, so fulfilling, that their absence won't even matter. You don't need to make them suffer. You don't need to get even. You don't need to plot or seek revenge. That's not your business. That's life's job. And life never fails to deliver what is deserved. When someone mistreats you, when they play with your emotions, when they manipulate, deceive, or disrespect you, there is an invisible balance being set into motion. What they put out into the world will return to them, whether they see it coming or not. But here's the mistake most people make. They try to speed up the process. They try to control the outcome. They waste time thinking about how to make the other person regret what they did. They sit around hoping, waiting, obsessing over when the payback will come. And in doing so, they don't realize that they are still letting that person control their mind, their energy, and their emotion. The truth is, when you hold on to resentment, you are keeping yourself stuck in the very pain you want to escape. You may think that anger is protecting you, that thinking about their downfall is somehow restoring balance. But all it's really doing is keeping them in your life longer than they deserve. Every thought about them, every moment spent replaying what they did, is energy wasted. It's time you could be using to elevate yourself, to heal, to grow, to build something better. People who hurt others never go unpunished, but not in the way you might expect. See, suffering doesn't always look like what you imagine. It's not always instant. It doesn't always come in a way you can see. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's internal, and sometimes the very people who look like they are getting away with everything are carrying a level of emptiness that you wouldn't wish on anyone. The person who played games with you, do you think they are truly at peace? Do you think they go to bed at night feeling fulfilled, feeling whole, feeling happy? Or do you think they are constantly looking for their next distraction, their next target, their next fix? People who manipulate and deceive others do so because they are deeply unsettled within themselves. Their chaos is internal. Their suffering is already happening, even if they don't show it. That's why it's not your responsibility to do anything. The moment you let go of the need for revenge, the moment you stop worrying about whether they will feel what you felt, is the moment you free yourself. You don't need to wish them harm. You don't need to see their downfall. You don't need to hear about their karma. It's already written. Their path has already been set by the choices they've made. And that's something they cannot escape. Look at it this way. If someone betrays you, they have revealed something about themselves. They have shown you who they truly are. And once you see them clearly, there is no need to go back. The damage is already done, but not to you, to them. Because while you can heal, move forward, and rebuild, they are left with the reality of who they are. And trust me, they will feel it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day when they least expect it, they will come face to face with the weight of their own actions. What happens when a person is so used to manipulating others that they lose sight of what real connection feels like? What happens when they finally meet someone who treats them exactly how they treated you? What happens when they realize they have burned every bridge, ruined every relationship, and now have no one left who truly cares? That is when they suffer. That is when they feel the consequences of their choices. But by then you will be long gone. You will be on a higher level. You will be so far removed from their energy that their regret, their realization, their pain will not matter to you. And that is exactly why you must let go of the need to make them pay. Because life is already handling it. Because time is already setting things right. Because the greatest punishment for a person who thrives on control is losing the ability to affect you. The hardest thing to do is to trust that things will unfold as they should. It requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires strength. But it also gives you something priceless: freedom. Freedom from carrying the weight of someone else's wrongdoings. Freedom from being emotionally tied to someone who no longer deserves a place in your life. Freedom from wasting energy on things that are beneath you. Some people will go through life thinking they can treat others however they want without consequence. They believe they can play with emotions, take people for granted, use and discard others without ever facing a reckoning. But they are wrong. No one escapes the results of their own actions. No one outruns the energy they put into the world. And no one, no matter how clever they think they are, avoids the lessons they are meant to learn. You may not see it happen. You may not hear about it, but rest assured they will feel it. And by the time they do, you will be too far ahead to even care. Silence is your greatest weapon. It carries a power that words will never have. When someone has played games with you, when they have toyed with your emotions, they expect a reaction. They expect you to argue, to defend yourself, to demand answers, to beg for explanations. That's how they stay in control, by keeping you emotionally engaged, by keeping your mind tangled in confusion, by making sure you are still attached to them in some way. But the moment you choose silence, you disrupt the entire dynamic. You take away the energy they were feeding on. You remove the attention they were so desperately seeking. You force them to sit in the very emptiness they tried to avoid by playing games with you in the first place. Because people who manipulate others don't do it from a place of strength. They do it from a place of deep insecurity, a place of fear, a place of emotional weakness. And the worst thing you can do to someone like that is nothing at all. When you refuse to engage, when you don't explain yourself, when you don't justify your actions, you create a mystery that is impossible for them to solve. They begin to wonder. They start questioning everything. Why aren't you reacting? Why aren't you fighting back? Why aren't you pleading, chasing, trying to prove yourself? The silence becomes unbearable for them because it signals something they never expected. You've moved on, and not just physically, but emotionally. That is what truly shakes them to their core. You see, people who play games operate on predictability. They are strategic. They know what buttons to push, what words to say, what actions to take to get a specific response from you. It's all part of their manipulation. But when you step outside of that cycle, when you refuse to respond how they expect, you throw them into a state of complete uncertainty. They no longer know what to do. Their power over you vanishes in an instant. Silence is not just about ignoring them. It's about elevating yourself to a level where their presence, their actions, their words no longer matter. It's about reclaiming your peace, your focus, your energy. It's about shifting from reacting to creating. Instead of wasting time thinking about them, you use that time to build something for yourself. Instead of responding to their nonsense, you pour your energy into something that moves you forward. The most dangerous person in the world is the one who no longer seeks revenge, no longer needs closure, no longer craves validation, because that person is free. That person is untouchable. That person is no longer playing by anyone's rules but their own. And when you reach that level, the person who tried to manipulate you will feel it in ways you cannot imagine. At first, they might act like they don't care. They might pretend your silence doesn't bother them. They might even try to provoke you to see if they can still get a reaction out of you. They will test the waters, send random messages, try to insert themselves back into your life just to see if you are still affected. And when they realize you are unbothered, when they see you are truly detached, that's when their real suffering begins. Because nothing tortures a manipulator more than knowing they have lost control. The very thing they thrived on, your emotions, your reactions, your energy, is no longer available to them. They are left with nothing but their own thoughts, their own insecurities, their own guilt. And that silence, that absence, becomes their punishment. People often underestimate the power of simply walking away. They think they need to say one last thing, make one final statement, get the last word in. But true power is in the exit itself. No warnings, no explanations, no grand speeches, just gone. Because when you leave quietly, you leave them wondering. And wondering is far more painful than knowing. Imagine someone playing a game where they believe they are always in control. They pull the strings, they make the moves, and they assume they will always win. Then one day, out of nowhere, the game just stops. The opponent is no longer playing. The board is empty. There is nothing left to manipulate. That is what silence does. It ends the game, and without the game, they have nothing. But silence is not just about them, it's about you. It's about shifting from a mindset of revenge to a mindset of self-mastery. It's about understanding that your energy is sacred and should never be wasted on people who do not value it. It's about knowing that walking away without a word is not weakness but strength in its purest form. Most people never learn this lesson. They stay trapped in cycles of conflict, constantly trying to prove themselves to people who never deserved them in the first place. But the ones who rise above, the ones who truly take control of their lives, are the ones who understand that sometimes the loudest message you can send is saying absolutely nothing at all. The best revenge is always success. Not anger, not bitterness, not plotting their downfall, just pure, undeniable success. When someone plays games with you, when they manipulate your emotions, when they betray your trust, they expect you to break. They expect you to stay stuck in the pain, to keep thinking about them, to lose yourself in resentment. But the moment you shift your focus from them to yourself, the entire power dynamic changes. Because now, instead of reacting, you're building. Instead of looking back, you're moving forward. Instead of giving them your energy, you're channeling it into something greater. People who play games thrive on attention. They need to know they still matter to you. They need to feel that they have left a mark on your life. Even if the connection has ended, even if they have moved on, they still want to believe that they have a lingering presence in your mind. But what happens when they realize you don't care? When they see you are thriving without them? That's when they feel the weight of their own actions. That's when they suffer. Because nothing is more painful for someone who tried to control you than seeing you flourish without them. Success is not just about proving them wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about showing yourself that no matter what happened, No matter how much they try to break you, you are still capable of greatness. The worst thing you could ever do is let someone's mistreatment of you define your future. The moment you allow that, you give them exactly what they wanted: control over your destiny. But when you take that pain, that disappointment, and turn it into fuel, you create a life that is not only better, but completely out of their reach. There is no greater message than becoming the person they never thought you could be. Think about it. People who play games always assume they have the upper hand. They assume you will stay the same, that you will stay trapped in the version of yourself that they manipulated. But the moment you grow beyond that, the moment you transform into something greater, they are forced to face the reality that they never truly knew you at all. The best way to make them regret losing you is not to tell them, is to show them through your actions. They expect you to fall apart. Instead, you level up. They expect you to be miserable. Instead, you build a life so fulfilling that they are no longer even a thought in your mind. And that's the most painful realization for them, knowing that they were just a temporary lesson in your journey to greatness. Success doesn't mean you have to be rich, famous, or have the perfect life. Success is simply reaching a place where their actions no longer affect you, where you wake up in the morning at peace, where you go to bed at night feeling fulfilled, where you are so immersed in your own growth, your own purpose, that their existence is nothing more than a distant memory. Imagine them seeing you months or years later and realizing that while they are still playing the same game, still stuck in the same cycles, you have completely outgrown them. You have elevated beyond their reach. They are still chasing attention, still seeking validation, still using the same tired tricks. And yet, you are thriving. You are happier, healthier, more confident, more successful than ever before. That is the moment they realize they lost. They may not admit it. They may never tell you, but trust me, they feel it. They feel it every time they wonder if you ever think about them. Every time they check up on you and see that you are doing just fine, better even. Every time they try to get your attention and realize they no longer have access to you, that is when the regret sets in. That is when they start questioning everything. But by then, you won't even care. Because real success means you don't even need to look back. It means you don't need their acknowledgement, their validation, their apology. It means you have become so focused on yourself that whatever they feel, whatever they regret, is irrelevant to your life. The truth is, most people never truly move on from the ones they underestimated, the ones they thought they could play games with and leave behind. They may act like they don't care, but deep down, they always remember. They always wonder. And when they see you becoming someone they never expected, someone they can never reach again, that's when they feel the true weight of their loss. And you'll be too busy winning to even notice. Detachment is the ultimate freedom. When someone plays games with you, they want you emotionally invested. They want you to overthink, to keep replaying conversations in your mind, to wonder what you did wrong, to question if they ever cared. The more you are emotionally attached, the more power they have. Because attachment means you are still connected, still affected, still controlled by their actions. But the moment you master detachment, you take back everything they try to steal from you. You reclaim your peace, your power, and your ability to move forward without them. Detachment does not mean you stop caring overnight. It is not about pretending something never hurt you or suppressing emotions. It is about rising above the need for validation, the need for closure, the need for revenge. It is about understanding that not everything deserves a reaction. Not everyone deserves a response, and not every situation deserves your energy. The moment you realize this, you begin to free yourself from the emotional chains that have kept you trapped. People who play games operate in cycles. They push and pull, they disappear and return, they create confusion and then act like nothing happened. This is how they keep you emotionally engaged, by keeping your mind occupied with their unpredictable behavior. But once you detach, you break that cycle forever. You stop waiting for explanations. You stop checking for updates. You stop hoping for a different outcome. Instead, you accept reality for what it is, not what you wish it to be. One of the biggest obstacles to detachment is the illusion of potential, the idea that maybe, just maybe, things could change. That if you wait long enough, if you give them one more chance, if you prove your worth, they will finally realize your value. This is the trap that keeps so many people stuck, holding on to a version of someone that does not exist. But detachment requires brutal honesty. It forces you to see people exactly as they are, not as you want them to be. It demands that you stop making excuses for their behavior and accept that someone who truly valued you would never have played games in the first place. When you detach, you stop taking things personally. You stop seeing their actions as a reflection of your worth and start seeing them for what they truly are, a reflection of their own insecurities, their own fears, their own inability to form genuine connections. You realize that their behavior was never about you. It was always about them. And that realization is what sets you free. Detachment also gives you the clarity to focus on yourself. When you are caught in emotional turmoil, your energy is scattered. Your thoughts are consumed by them. Your actions are dictated by your feelings towards them. But when you detach, all that energy is redirected towards yourself, your growth, your goals, your future. You stop seeking their validation, start validating yourself. You stop waiting for them to change and start changing yourself. One of the most powerful things about detachment is how it shifts the balance of power. When you no longer react, when you no longer chase, when you no longer need anything from them, they begin to feel the void. Suddenly, the person they thought they had control over is completely out of reach. They can no longer trigger you, no longer manipulate you, no longer keep you tied to their games. And that is when they truly start to suffer. At first, they may not show it. They may act indifferent, as if your absence doesn't affect them. But inside, they begin to question everything. Why aren't you reacting? Why aren't you chasing? Why aren't you seeking closure? The moment they realize you have detached completely, they start feeling something they never expected. Regret. Because now they no longer have access to the version of you who cared, the version of you who would have done anything to fix things. That version is gone. And all they are left with is the emptiness of their own actions. Detachment is not just about removing yourself from a situation. It is about transforming yourself so that the situation no longer has any effect on you. It is about becoming so whole, so fulfilled, so at peace within yourself that nothing external can shake you. It is about reaching a level of self-mastery where your emotions are no longer dictated by other people's behavior. The beauty of detachment is that it does not require confrontation. You do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to announce your departure. You simply disengage. You stop responding. You stop reacting. You stop feeding the cycle. And in doing so, you reclaim your power in the most effortless way possible. Most people never learn this. They spend their lives emotionally entangled in people who do not deserve them, wasting energy trying to fix situations that were never meant to be fixed. But those who truly rise, those who truly find peace, are the ones who master the art of detachment. They are the ones who understand that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply let go. The ultimate transformation happens when you stop being the person who reacts and start being the person who creates. When someone has played games with you, when they have manipulated you, disrespected you, and taken your kindness for granted, the most powerful thing you can do is step into the highest version of yourself, not to prove anything to them, not to get their attention, not to seek revenge, but because the best way to move forward is to become so focused, so disciplined, so untouchable, that their memory fades into insignificance. Growth is the greatest revenge. Not because it hurts them, but because it heals you. It removes you from the energy that kept you stuck, from the emotional loops that drain your peace. It forces you to look in the mirror and ask, who do I really want to become? Because the truth is, when someone plays games with you, it's not just about them. It's about the fact that somewhere along the way you tolerated it. Somewhere along the way you ignored the red flags. You gave too many chances. You prioritized their needs over your own. Growth is about recognizing that you will never allow that to happen again. It is about becoming so strong, so self-assured, so aware of your own value that no one like them will ever have access to you again. True growth starts with self-respect. It starts with setting standards and actually keeping them. It starts with understanding that you do not have to beg, chase, convince, or prove your worth to anyone. The moment you step into that mindset, you elevate to a level where their tricks, their games, their manipulations become irrelevant. Because someone who is focused on their own evolution does not have time for people who operate from a place of insecurity and control. Growth is not just about moving forward. It is about leveling up so drastically that your past no longer recognizes you. Think about the most successful, confident, and powerful people you admire. Do you think they spend their time dwelling on those who wronged them? No. They are too busy building, too busy creating, too busy designing the life they actually want. And that is exactly what you must do. You must pour so much energy into yourself that the thought of revenge, of anger, of proving a point becomes laughable because you are so much bigger than that. When you shift your energy inward, when you focus on growth, you start attracting better opportunities, better relationships, and better experiences. You stop seeking validation from the same people who disrespected you and start validating yourself. You stop hoping they'll realize what they lost and start realizing what you gained by letting them go. And the best part, they will see it. They will notice. They will watch from a distance, wondering how the person they once played games with has become so untouchable, so radiant, so far beyond their reach. There is no greater lesson than becoming the one who got away, the one who didn't beg, didn't break, didn't stay in the cycle, the one who turned their pain into power, their disappointment into determination. Because here's the thing, when someone mistreats you, they expect you to fall apart. They expect you to hold on to the pain. They expect you to keep looking back. But when you grow, when you evolve, when you become someone they could never manipulate again, they are forced to live with the reality that they lost access to something truly rare. Growth is a quiet, unstoppable force. It does not need announcements. It does not need validation. It does not need to prove anything. It simply moves forward, elevates, and thrives. And that is exactly what you must do. You must commit to becoming the version of yourself who is so deeply focused, so resilient, so disciplined, that nothing from your past can pull you back. The most satisfying part, there will come a day when they look at you and realize that they can never reach you again. That the version of you who once cared, who once gave them unlimited chances, who once tolerated their behavior no longer exists. And that is when they truly suffer. Because they will come to understand that they played games with someone who was destined to become unstoppable. And now they have to live with the knowledge that their biggest mistake was underestimating you.